Welcome, Daniel Packard, to Coaching in a Session. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, ready to drop some podcast knowledge with your audience.
Excellent. Today, I have you on as an anxiety and addiction professional. We are going to be talking about that work because I have found that people are so stressed, so anxious, and they can be addicted to it in a sense. So we are going to be talking about your work in your own words. Can you tell the world who you are, what you do, and how you help?
Absolutely. And it's good that I do that because obviously you bring up the topic anxiety. Your audience, many people have it. And even if you don't have anxiety, maybe you have overwhelm. If you're a professional and an entrepreneur, you know that how you feel affects your performance, just like any athlete, if you're a business athlete. What we do that's very special, and I want to be clear because your listeners' time is very valuable. And also there's a lot of information on anxiety, a lot of podcasts. So why listen? Why listen to what I'm going to share? Well, it's because, as you know, when you have anxiety, it's horrible. You feel scared. You have doubt. You can't live your life. You're always looking over your shoulder. It keeps you from what you want. But to me, that's not the worst part. The worst part is what I want to talk about, which is that you've probably gone to help for anxiety, maybe a therapist, a psychologist, a guru, a minister, a friend, a guy at the bar, a woman at the bar. And what you'll notice, or probably notice, is the best they do is they can just help you manage it. And it's good. It's tips, it's tools, it's awareness, but it's still there. And we've just been taught to kind of accept that, but it's still there, holding you back, keeping you from what you want, being the person you want to be for yourself and the people. And there's a reason for that. And I'm going to expose the dirty little secret that the mental health professionals don't want you to know, which is why $1 trillion a year gets spent on mental health. But the research showed it doesn't really solve anything. And then I'm going to teach you the understanding that my team and I discovered that makes it possible for anybody, no matter what type of anxiety you have, to solve your anxiety quickly, permanently, and a really good word, simple. I know your listeners are thinking that sounds great, but like, who the hell are you? They're probably skeptical. Sounds too good to be true. So that's why I'm going to tell you who I am, not because you care. You don't care. You don't care about me. You care about what I can do for you. What have you done for me lately, Daniel? Nothing yet. But what I'm going to do for you, I want you to understand where the information comes from so you know to trust it. Because I started off where you are if you have anxiety. I stayed in a relationship way too long. And when I came out of it, I had just crippling anxiety and PTSD. I couldn't leave the house. The tiniest thing just sent my whole system into a terror spiral. And it was horrible. And what made it worse is everybody, my friends and family, they walked away. They didn't want to be around a person in pain. So I'm all alone, which just made me feel more horrible and broken. And I can't solve it. And I spend $100,000, can't solve it. It's getting worse. Feel horrible. I'm not living, and there's no hope. The purpose was, and the reason was, is because growing up, my dad was an inventor. He was a physicist and an inventor. And he told me, he said, Daniel, if something's not working in the world, invent something better, like contribute, make something better. And I remember that. And he also said something to me. He said, Daniel, theory's great. Concepts are great. Ideas are great. But you know what really is hard to do and what really makes people's lives better is results. Like, results is what makes people's lives better. And that stuck with me because I realized the mental health industry, even a lot of personal development, people mean well, but it wasn't getting permanent results. Anxiety is on the rise. Life expectancy is getting better. Child mortality has gone down. A lot of diseases are gone. Anxiety is getting worse. And it's not social media and it's pandemic. It's because people don't truly understand it. So out of necessity, I started my own research company to see if it was possible to solve anxiety permanently. And I was a bit naive how long it would take. It took about 8 years. We worked with 3,000 people all over the world, over $1 million in R&D. And we not only came up with the theory, but more importantly, the system to solve it permanently. We have a program that solves anxiety at an astounding 90% success rate. Results, baby. And because results matter, when people work with us, they don't pay at the beginning. You pay at the end once your anxiety is fully solved. That's when we get paid, because my dad told me results matter. If we can't help you, we don't charge you. And I'm telling you that so that when you hear what you're about to hear and you think, Daniel, this sounds great. How do I know it's working? We have a 90% success rate. Worked on me. I've been chill as a cucumber for 10 years, and we only get paid when it works. So it works. So again, if you want to just keep managing your anxiety for the rest of your life, if you want to keep paying someone just to manage it and understand it and spend your entire life peeling back the layers of the onion, probably leave now, because I'm very focused on getting your listeners an understanding that gets you permanent results. That's who I am, and that's what I'm about.
Okay, well, let's take a step back because people might have anxiety. They might feel anxiety or stressed out, be addicted on maybe a daily basis, but yet they can't define what that means. So can you define what does anxiety mean?
Well, it's a good question. It's a really good question because anxiety is completely misdiagnosed. You've got what does a person experience and are they struggling in life based in feeling a lot of fear? But then there's just the fact that, again, the mental health professionals, the experts, they call it a disorder. And it's not a disorder. As you're going to learn, it's very understandable where it's coming from. It's simple and mechanical. It's not a disorder. But for your listener, I think that's for them to decide. What I would say is if you experience basically more fear or worry than you quote unquote should, life will push on you and you should feel sort of 3 out of 10 stress, money, family, relationship, business, the unknown. You'll feel stressed. That's normal. That's healthy. 3 out of 10 is, but there's a cutoff point we measured. Anything above about a 4 or a 5 out of 10, and it's lasting long after or long before the thing is even happening, that's what anxiety is. It hasn't even happened yet and you're worrying about it, or it happened a long time ago, you're still feeling it, or you're just sitting on your couch trying to Netflix and chill, but you can't because you just feel this 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 10 fear in your body and it doesn't add up. That's what I would call anxiety. But ultimately, if your audience says they have anxiety, then who am I to disagree?
How about the avoidance of anxiety? For example, let's say you have car troubles and you start to hear a weird noise in your car. There's a funny meme. People talk about it sometimes. So like if I hear anything wrong with my car, they just raise up the volume. So they try to find more distractions, things that are going to maybe debilitate them in the sense of, I'm not going to focus on this. I'm going to focus on this. Do you find that people do that with anxiety and stress?
100%. I wouldn't say that's the root cause, but, and again, I want to explain where anxiety is coming from so that you can know exactly what I'm talking about. But essentially, anxiety is an alarm system that's trying to get your attention. Okay, so in a car, if you don't change your oil, check engine light comes on. Okay, it's saying like, hey, better pay attention. If you ignore it, what happens? Does it go away? No, it gets worse. Then a sound comes on. Hey, a little alarm. Hey, you better check your oil. If you avoid it, it's understandable. It's human. Who wants to feel that feeling? Who wants to feel the alarms? You don't. So it's human nature to avoid it and judge it. What's wrong with me? And get rid of this. Completely normal. The problem is there's something going on that needs attention and you're not getting to it. And so it sticks around and it gets worse because of the avoidance.
That makes sense. When I was a teacher, I can see the stress, the anxiety in students. It was typically always at a manageable level. But then as professionals, teachers, therapists, they do something very interesting. They diagnose these kids. They're like, you know what, this kid has ADHD. This kid has behavioral issues. This kid is really stressed because of all the schoolwork. And I mean, they don't even ask the kid. They just literally just say, well, this is what I'm going to assume. And what I have found is that if you speak to the child, they're going to tell you how they feel. You're going to find out that they don't have behavioral problems or that they can focus. It's just that we don't want to give the attention. People are so quick to label someone as bad, as maybe unproductive, and they're so quick to give medicine. Doctors, especially, they're like, here's the quick fix. So we have gone a roundabout way of fixing people instead of looking at the root of it by just saying, here's a Band-Aid. Let's cover it up. But I always say, if you get shot, you're not going to want a Band-Aid. You're going to want a surgeon. So is your work more in the line of covering things up or fixing the root cause?
I mean, it's an excellent question. It's a painful observation to see that, yes, that's what's going on. And it's the mental health industry, spiritual teachers, personal development, they mean well. They are trying, but I believe there's something acceptable in what I call, it's this huge industry that takes money and helps, but doesn't solve anything. And they make a lot more money that way. And I call it the improvement industrial complex, which is just this massive industry that takes money and gives some value, but doesn't solve anything. Thus, they can keep taking money because the money's in the management, not in the solution. And that is what I started my company to revolt against and take a stand, because I spent $100,000 and nobody from any psychology, therapy, coaches, anybody ever didn't solve it and then told me it was a problem. They never said, Daniel, I can't solve this and I'm sorry. I wish I did. They just it's okay for them to hand out Band-Aid. I don't mind if all you can do is hand out Band-Aids. If that's all you know, then help in that way. But be honest, it's a Band-Aid. They don't do that. They say, we're the experts. Look at my degree. Do this. And then what happens? We fail because it is a Band-Aid. We're still bleeding. And then we feel broken and like there's something wrong with me. And what I want to wake people up to know is you're not broken. The system is, which I know sounds like a System of a Down lyric, but like I used to feel so broken. So yes. And one of the things they do is to diagnose. But even diagnosing, just anxiety is a general anxiety disorder. And people hear that. They think, oh, I have a disorder. And already they're off. But also, you're lazy. If you call something a disorder, that's just saying something's not working. We call it a disorder. Okay, great. Thank you so much. That's like seeing someone saying, if they're drowning, you have a swimming disorder. Like, it doesn't help me. Why? What can I do? How do I get out of here? Now, again, if a guy at the bar says it's fine, but a professional should not get paid to say, you have a disorder. No, how? We only get paid when it goes away. And we couldn't do that with Band-Aids. So we don't do Band-Aids, just entire life upgrades. But I want to tell you kind of the theory, how we do it. Otherwise, your audience is just going to hear it and say, that sounds great, but like how? Is it okay if I tell you kind of the theory behind what we do?
Yeah, tell me the life upgrade thing.
I mean, tell you the theory or talk about the life upgrade?
Well, tell me the theory and then tell me about the life upgrade.
Okay, I might forget about the life upgrade. So just to honor your question, I think for me and why our systems are so effective is because of the goal. And I saw the inefficiency, the engineer in me, the little boy whose dad said results matter. I said, if we're not going for a complete upgrade to give you your life back so that you can feel like a child again, children are in some ways, the healthiest people on the planet. They got tons of energy, very motivated, open-hearted, authentic, vulnerable. You never have to turn to a 5-year-old who doesn't want to go to the park and say, wow, you really need to work on your mindset, or you're procrastinating again. Like, kids are very, very, very healthy. And the engineer in me said, can we get back to that state and be free? And that's where I am now. I'm just naturally confident, energetic. I can't procrastinate if I tried. So my company's name is called Full Liberation Technology. We're developing systems so that this is gone, baby, gone. And one of our programs is called Self-Aware Upgrade. That deals more with self-esteem and confidence. But we just want you happy again. So absolutely, upgrades. But everybody wants that. It takes a lot more work. You have to really understand human consciousness to not only understand the root cause of things, but then create systems and modalities that go at the root cause in ways that are simple and solvable. See, if let's say you want to upgrade your body, we know how to do that. You go to a gym and you do little exercises and repetition. It is not complicated. It's based in body mechanics. And if you look at a lot of personal development and therapy and psychology, they give you concepts, but not a very specific, doable, step-by-step how to address the root cause. They either address the root cause in theory, like the root cause is low self-esteem, or they'll give you repetition to build a habit. But what they often don't give you is repetition to address the root cause so that it's gone, not managed, not understood, gone. That's how you get an upgrade. That's what we do, but it takes a lot more work in testing. It's the testing that allows us to get those results.
It is important to look at the whole science behind anxiety, I believe, too, because if we look at education, we have been in the same educational system for well over 100 years, but yet phones have changed, cars have changed, but not the way we educate. And I found that when it comes to things that make us self-aware, like stress, anxiety, we're not being educated enough about that. Does the work that you do educate people on anxiety, maybe healthy anxieties, and then how to downgrade it to a 3 if we are a 4 or 5?
That's exactly what we do. And the reason we're able to get these results is because we educate people what anxiety actually is mechanically. And my vision is to get this understanding into schools, because as you're going to learn, we have anxiety because we didn't learn something younger. Now, in school, we're taught physical education, dietary education. Now they're teaching financial education, social education. Great. However, what they're teaching in schools for mental health is too late. It's mental health management. I'm already anxious. Okay, here's what you do to be less anxious. What they don't teach is the actual education What do you do every day such that you are just naturally 100% calm? That's where I am now. And we want to get this into schools earlier. Right now, we help adults basically undo the damage. But absolutely, it's education because they just don't understand anxiety mechanically. What it is, first of all, it's called mental health. That already is inaccurate. It's called mental health, which means they're saying it's a problem of the mind. Quiet your mind, don't believe your scary thoughts. They give you pills to target the neurotransmitters in your brain. They tell us anxiety is a problem of the mind. So that's where we're educated to go. When you have anxiety, you feel it. It's a real feeling. You can feel your throat close up, your chest tighten, your stomach can get a gross feeling, your heart rate goes up. So they say it's a problem of the mind, but listen to those words: throat, stomach, chest, heart. Does that sound like the mind to you or the body?
It seems like, after you...
It's the body.
Yeah, like it seems like after you explained what anxiety is, it's almost reminiscent of fear. Would you say that fear and anxiety are closely linked?
Well, it depends how you're defining it. You can call the feeling, meaning anything above a 3 or 4 out of 10 that seems to, quote unquote, it shouldn't be there. It's a fear feeling, but why is it there? Why are you sitting on your couch at 7 out of 10? Why are you feeling like you're going to die just watching a movie? So the feeling is just different versions of fear. It is your body's alarm system, but why is your system redlining? Why is the alarm going off so high? Why you feel like there's a tiger in the room when it's just your partner? So the anxiety is not the feeling. The anxiety is the level and the duration.
Okay, that makes sense. And if someone wanted to take practical steps in the beginning, typically, someone wants to get in shape, right? And they're severely overweight. Maybe going to the gym could be a little bit much. Maybe just saying, hey, just walk around the block. Just do something like that to increase your activity levels and work your way up to the gym. Is there something like that for anxiety?
Well, yes and no. So when we started to solve this, we saw very clearly there is no one tip or tool that solves it. Tips, tools, exercise, try this, which is what a lot of people spend their money and time getting, is phenomenal if you want to manage it. If you want to meditate, great, comes back. If you go exercise, great. If you try to focus on the positive instead of the negative, it lowers it. It still just keeps coming back. So and this is what I'm trying to educate people on and understand where anxiety is coming from. And I want to explain that so people know. You cannot solve it with individual tools and techniques, especially the ones you're paying for now, because all of them are engineered just to manage things. Management tools, when we discovered, and repair tools are very different. You need repair tools because of where anxiety is coming from. What we discovered was, once we realized it wasn't in the mind, it was in the body, we said, okay, well, why is it in the body? Where is it in a simple, understandable way? And the beauty of understanding things are in the body is that the body's pretty simple in many ways. Like the mind, we do not understand the mind. It's like a billion trillion, neurons and synaptic pathway. It's a black box. Even with an MRI scan, they're just like, see that red spot? Like, red spot, what are you, 5? So they don't understand the mind. But the body, there's ligaments, arteries, capillary system. A lot of it's very mechanical. And mechanical is great because if it's malfunctioning, you know why, and you know how to fix it. So we figured out the system that controls anxiety. And it's very obvious once you start to look at it like an engineer instead of a psychologist. When you're anxious, you could just say, I'm extra nervous, like I'm really, really nervous. Okay, so what system do you think controls things if you're feeling really nervous? Which system? The capillary system, the respiratory system, or the nervous system? Which one do you think controls feeling extra nervous? A, B, or C?
Oh, C?
C, it's the nervous system. Like how effing obvious is that? You're feeling extra nervous. Wouldn't it make sense to address the nervous system? And psychologists are like, no, it's a problem of the mind. Now, if they were getting results, fine. But they weren't, and they didn't make the shift because they were just regurgitating the same information instead of innovating. We saw this because we were outsiders, and we could look in and just see this. And we know it's the nervous system because when we started developing our programs just on the nervous system, not only did my anxiety start going down and staying down, but we saw we were getting consistent results. But also, once you know it's a system, it's not complicated if it's malfunctioning, because most systems in the body, rather, have one key mechanical principle, which is that every system needs basic maintenance. You need to sleep a certain amount. You need to drink a certain amount. For your digestive system, you need a certain balanced diet, drink enough water, get enough roughage, not too much sugar. For your dental system, you need to brush and floss. There's basic daily hygiene that if you do, the body, this incredible miracle, generally runs pretty well. You don't have to do anything. But if you don't take care of a system, if you don't brush and floss, I don't care who you are, where you're from, if you don't brush and floss, not right away, but eventually that system goes from strong to fragile. And when something becomes fragile, you push on it. Instead of feeling pressure, you feel pain. But that's the exact profile of anxiety. We used to be strong like children, resilient. Now, when life pushes on us, instead of pressure, we feel pain. And that is because nobody ever taught us, hey, every morning, this is what you do every morning to take care of the feelings and emotions in your nervous system. They teach us to brush and floss. They tell you to get enough sleep, drink enough water. But nobody was ever taught these fundamental basics. In fact, we're taught, get over it, don't take it personally, I'll give you something to cry about. And then when people treated us really poorly, it trained us that maybe we don't deserve to take care of our nervous systems. So you were never taught. Nobody was taught how to take care of our nervous systems. So eventually that system, which needed care, didn't get the care. And then eventually, over time, it has become fragile. And now when life pushes on it, you feel pain. That pain is what we call anxiety. Now, the downside is nobody's seeing this. They're putting on Band-Aids. They're saying it's in the mind. They're trying to manage it. Meanwhile, the basic daily basics aren't getting to your system, so it never goes away and it can even get worse. And that's the downside. But I'm asking you, Michael, and if you're listening, if we want to make this simple and solvable, why is it good news to find out this is just a system that's kind of failing because it wasn't taken care of? If we want to solve it, why is that good news?
Well, if we look at the health industry, things that are broken are good for them because they can prescribe something. They can say, well, take this medicine. Drug companies love when people are sick because then they're going to get paid. And it sounds like a really bad answer. It's the truth. It's how can I fill up my pockets at the expense of others when you can truly heal someone, make them better, and not need you anymore? Most people have gone from being reliant on people, and it's hard to separate from that. So you need to learn how to be a part of your body, understand your body, and to fix your body, repair your body, as you said. And it's so important that you do the work, not just look for the quick fixes. I understand that it could be a lot of work to be in a better place. Think of if your car is in the shop, it's like the mechanic says, a lot of things are wrong with this car and you got to fix it, right? But you do the work. And after you do the work, you are going to appreciate not only what you just did, but how you feel, because it's not just a cover up. You dealt with the hard moments. And when you do that, you become more confident. You become happier, right? You become more fulfilled. You go after the things you love. You wake up in the morning, you know what to do. You are not just thinking about hope, you're living it. And that is so important for people to get away from their current living circumstances and start to be normal in the sense that you can be anyone you want to be. You don't have to feel any way you don't want to feel. And if you're not happy where you are or excited to be in a new place tomorrow, why not, look at where you need to make some adjustments?
It's the truth and it's empowering. A lot of what this anxiety is, it really is mechanical. Just like if you don't drink enough water, your system will go into a state. If you don't drink water, you can really get into a lot of trouble. If you can't just switch that by wanting to or mindset or belief, you have to really understand the mechanics of what's going on. And what we saw was because of all this confusion, the last 100 years of modern psychology and therapy and personal development and all these Band-Aids, this very simple thing people were missing and they didn't even know how. We saw the theory of like, oh, you got to take care of your nervous system. It still took several years to really distill the tools. Okay, this is the brushing and flossing of the nervous system. And this is how you repair a nervous system, not maintain it, not a pretty Band-Aid. And so, yes, now I believe, and maybe I'm biased, we built this process and system, but it took 8 years, Michael, to figure out how to make it simple. And so if you just tell anybody, hey, get rid of your anxiety, take control of your life, that's not as accurate as you think, because really this stuff took a while to figure out. Now that we've figured it out and it's all step by step and it's built like an inner gym, absolutely. You go in, you work the steps that we laid out. But if you didn't understand diet, if you had no idea that if you lift weights, you get stronger, nobody taught you the mechanics of a body, and someone said, you have the power to increase your body. Yeah, but you also need fundamental mechanical knowledge, which people have about the physical body, but not the emotional body. So yes, absolutely, Michael, I agree. You got to do the work, but to make it happen in 6 weeks versus 6 lifetimes, it happens to help to have people that have mapped it all out and made it super duper simple, because it's uncomfortable and people want to avoid. And that's one of the reasons people haven't. Going to the gym sucks in the very beginning. You got to get out of bed. But once you're at the gym, it's like, okay, I'm lifting weights. It feels good. Anxiety, nobody wants to feel it. And so even if you give people tools, human nature says they're going to avoid it. And you have to catch it multiple times per day to kind of do the healing. So even when we handed people tools in the very beginning, the tools that work, they weren't doing it consistently, because human nature is you're going to avoid it. Even the strongest people, myself included, were only doing it at half. But if you only drink half the water, you're never going to heal. So part of the reason the program works is we have this set structure and accountability that anybody can do, so that they do it 4 times a day for 5 minutes. And that also helps them heal. So yes, I agree. If you have the power and desire to go deep, but it's like going up Everest. Anyone can go up Everest, but you should probably get a Sherpa and someone who knows how to go up there and has the proper equipment. Otherwise, you may not make it to the top of Everest.
Yeah, it definitely takes preparation. It takes people who have done it, who have lived it, who can understand it truly, so they can help you on that path. And I believe that what you do and the systems you have created are going to be helping people with their anxiety, not just cover it up for a moment or manage it. It's going to be repair it to fix it, so it's gone for good. And it's so important that we start to get into that mindset of fixing things rather than just covering it up. As we begin to wrap up, can you please tell everyone where they can find you and find this program?
I mean, the short answer is, if you want to know about our online program that solves your anxiety in 6 weeks, you reach out to me for a consultation at danielpackard.com/call. But only if it's the right fit for you and also us, because we don't work with everybody and we're not for everybody. So I want to be clear, just briefly recap what I said so you know if this is for you. I want to be clear, you having anxiety is not your fault. You weren't taught how to take care of your nervous system, and now it's malfunctioning. Like, it's that simple, believe it or not. And it's not your fault that you still have it, because you went to experts who, while well-intentioned, sent you to the wrong location, the mind, and gave you management tools. What you needed was the right location, and you needed a repair system. You needed a system to bring it back to health. That's why you still have it. It's not your fault, and you're not broken. The downside is you still have it. The good news is, if you go to the right location with a system, the steps and the ingredients and the instructions, you can turn it around quickly. If you didn't know about brushing and flossing, your teeth would hurt your entire life, and you wouldn't know why. But if someone just said, you can go to the dentist and then brush and floss, a lifetime of dental pain can go away in a couple of weeks. The same logic applies, that basically we can show you how to bring your system back to health and maintain it, and a lifetime of emotional pain can go away in a couple of weeks. It's the system. And our system, it's an online program called Nervous System Reset, and it's 4 steps. And the steps are important because it's sequential. That's very important. Each step, you have a video that explains to you the theory, and then you do an exercise 5 minutes a day, 4 times. That's it. It's the repetition that's repairing the system and building a daily habit. And we know that it gets 90% success rate because we measure your anxiety at the beginning numerically in a couple key metrics. And then we're measuring your anxiety, and you're measuring your anxiety throughout the program. So that by the end, we have a chart and a graph that shows us numerically, A, that's proof to you. B, that's how we know our system is getting better. That's how we know we have a 90% success rate. If it doesn't work for any reason, we don't take your money. We only take your money at the end because we're about results. And if that sounds good to you, book a call with me. And on the call, you can ask me questions, learn more. I'm also going to make sure it's a good fit for you, because I don't want you to do this and fail, because then you feel worse about yourself. But we're here to make you feel better. I also am making sure it's a good fit because we only get paid when it works. So I have to double, triple check. It almost always does, but I want to make sure. And also, people want to know how much it is. And what I can tell you is we don't charge what it's worth, which is like $1 million. Like, that's what people say, to have their life back. But we don't want money to get in the way of your happiness. So on the call, you tell me what you can afford. And we have different packages with different levels of service and different payment plans. And I'm telling you, if you are committed to have your life back and solve this, and you have the courage to let this go, we will create an option that's affordable for anybody. If you don't want to work with us, just say no. There's no high pressure sale. If you do want to work with us, you'll be feeling better within the week. So again, if you just want to keep managing your anxiety, if you want to keep paying money to like learn about it and understand it and have tools, there's a lot of people out there who will take your money. $1 trillion a year, some of that yours. Go find them. If you want to solve this and you're open to that and you're skeptical but have a brave mind and you want this gone so you can be happier and sharper and more joyful and just get your effing life back or the life you were meant to live, reach out to me for a consultation, danielpackard.com/call. You do your part and we will do our part to give you your life back. That's what they can do, Michael.
Awesome. And I'll definitely make it easy. The link will be in the description box below. Reach out to Daniel, get your life back. That is the goal. We want you to be in the best possible shape. And I think Daniel's going to be a great step in the right direction. Thank you so much, Daniel Packard, for coming on, spending some time and talking about your work.
Thank you so much, baby. No more Band-Aids, just upgrades.